what is anchoring you already, everybody? Okay? What people, places, and things light up pain or light up pleasure? Okay? So we're just going to start to open your brain up to start to you becoming consciously aware of what's automatically playing or anchoring or triggering you, okay?
Welcome to the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy, where you will learn the tips, tricks, and strategies he teaches his world-class clients to give you the skills to dominate any business.
What's going on, Mindset by Design crew, and welcome to episode 415. Hope you're amazing as always and life is treating you, well, I hope it's treating you pretty damn awesome, to be honest. I really do. First of all, bit of a dodgy sound day. I'm traveling. I was in a different country last week. I'm in a different country this week. I leave again tomorrow. This is what happens, you know, you get it looks glamorous from the outside, all the jet setting, all the rest of it. It gets tiring. I'm going to be jumping on a lot of different stages and yeah, going to visit some family, and that's always nice. It's always nice, but again, time zones, all the rest of it. So hence dodgy microphone. But hey, I know you can handle it. And you know what? Today I want to look at really what I want to help you with. Remember, the Mindset by Design show is all about one thing. We've done 2.5 million downloads. We do 100,000 downloads a month, and it's all growing. We've had so many world-class guests on, and I've still got a stack of them to put on, but I'll be putting those on in the next few weeks. And do you know what? I just love doing this podcast because I know over the years of doing this, the feedback I get, it helps a lot of people. And I don't really hear from those people very often, but I know with the amount of downloads we get, people are listening. So if you're listening, hey, I appreciate you listening. Make sure you write me a little review. That would then let me know how awesome you are. And I really, each week, especially over the past year or so, what I've done is I've taken clips from people that I admire, and I've broke down what they say, and I've given my little 2 cents worth, right? I've built it into the business concept, the neuroscience concept, the NLP, and peak performance in general. And that's what I do for high-level clients. I'm an advisor for ultra net worth individuals, founders, and really helping them make strategic decisions as they grow on their journey, right? Because what's the power of the right idea? What's the power of consistency? What's the power of you being on form no matter how intense the pressure is to perform each day, right? Because that's how you scale really fast. It's all about you being on point. And that's where we get these high-level decisions and high-level ideas. So today I just wanted to share with you a couple of tiny little tools that I use. It's actually inside the top 1% performer, which is coming out, and it's not available to the public right now. It's a course I did a couple of years ago, but it's still really powerful, really powerful. And it's also connected to obviously the 8-Figure Thinker University, which you can go onto andymurphy.online and check that out. But really, I just wanted to give you some tools in your hand because I share all these clips from all of these different people and I kind of leave myself out sometimes, you know? So this is just a little 30-minute training. It's part of a 12-week training and multiple hours each week. But this is just 30 minutes at the start of week 4. And I just wanted to give these tools and put some in your hands just because you might have heard these things before, some of them anyway. You probably haven't heard the way I explain it, and you definitely won't be applying them like I know you can, right? Because often we get caught up in hearing terminology, and everybody thinks they're an NLP expert these days. Especially when they've done a weekend course or an online certification, or they've gone away for a week and then suddenly they've got a qualification and they're ultra experienced with working with clients and charge that way. But it doesn't work like that unless you've seen you don't know what you're doing unless you've seen your first 1,000 clients. That's what I always say, you know, and it's true. I didn't even start learning until you got to that level, and most people never get to that level. So again, I just want to share a few different tools with you, and I hope that you can apply them today. I really mean that. And so we're going to cover anchoring, what anchoring really is. We're going to cover terminology behind how to really start breaking down these anchors, whether it's internal, external, or environmental, and how to navigate your world in just a different perspective. Because once you truly understand this stuff, or even the foundation of understanding this stuff, then it kind of changes your life, because people, places, things, events, memories, circumstances, words, smells, tastes, certain tonalities of voices, they all create anchoring, and that can trigger you in a beautiful way. It could trigger you in a self-destructive way, right? So I want to make sure that you take your control back. I want to make sure that you know that you can wake up each morning and really start to become consciously aware of what's automatically playing. Like I said in that little tiny clip at the start, there's a reason I said that. So this is what this training's about. Of course, if you want to know more, then, or you want to take this to a whole different level, then I got a few things for you. And that's why I call them sponsors, but really it's not sponsors. It's just helping you out, right? It's just helping you out. And go to andymurphy.online. You can grab all of this, andymurphy.online. You can, first of all, go and get your Total Mind Control Handbook. Yeah, it's free. It's a badass book. It really is good. And you can grab that for free right now. So you probably want to do that. Number two, if you want to take your whole mind power to a whole new level and come on a journey with me that every entrepreneur should be going on, to be honest, and it's how to really reset yourself, move over the gap, even when we go into, in the later levels, subliminal messaging, subliminal communication, how to do high-level strategy and how to build rapport with anyone on the planet, how to really be a master at persuasion and influence that so many people miss. I even show you my sales system in there. But really what we're doing with the 8-Figure Thinker University is giving you a training model connected with NLP, neuroscience, behavioral psychology, and persuasion and influence, so you can really not just have a skill set in business, which is great, it's important, but what the other side of the equation is developing your brain and nervous system to respond how you want it when you want it, right? And that's what most people miss, and that's why people fail or get caught or stuck in business growth. Marketers don't tell you that bit, do they? No. Come and buy me course. It's everything that you need. And then you get halfway through or a quarter way through and get, damn, I can't cope with this. It's stressful. You got it. So that's the 8-Figure Thinker University. The other thing I got for you is, well, it's special. It's very special. It's far from for everybody. You definitely have to apply. And I take a couple of conversations or chats or interviews a month, and that's it, right? Because I help so many different people create results faster than they ever could imagine. I have one gentleman who's come back to me, who's worked with me a few years ago, and he's come back to me in a transition in his life. That's when people come to me. They've been a high performer and they need rebooting and expanding, right? So that's really what I do. Whether you're running a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-figure business, or you run a $300, $400 million business, high performers get to the point that, we dip sometimes. We dip in success. My protocols allow me to reboot your psychology really, really fast so you can be that top performer again. Really, really quick. And that's what I do. So it's amazing to watch. Dirk, shout out to you, brother. It's amazing to watch this high performer, for example, come back around me, and then we do something called an immersion. That's really, you can actually buy immersion weekends, immersion days, or it's always a part of my 90 days or 12-month packages. And what that means is we sit down for like 2 to 4 hours and we completely unpack everything that's going on psychologically, business-wise, systems, and really look at what's going on, align, direct, and then fire your brain up It's amazing what this guy's done in a week. It's like completely changed his life, and income's booming already. And that's within 1 week. And that was after 2.5 hours with me. That's it. So if you want the goods, if you want that secret sauce, go over to andymurphy.online and you can click work with me. Apply. Let's just have a chat. Might be for you, might not be for you, but if it's for you, I know it's going to change your life. Sound good? Of course it sounds good. So make sure you go and get your free mind control handbook. Make sure you go and check out the 8-Figure Thinker University. Or if you want to take things to a whole new level and you got the budget, you can come and hang out and play with me. And I promise you, everything will change fast. So go and do that. What else should we do? Should I shut up? I thought you might say that. I'll shut up and then I'll jump in to this training and we'll see you at the end of this show. What's going on, everybody? So here we are, week 4. It's going fast, it's going furious, but hopefully everything's starting to layer together now. It's all starting to make sense. The state changing, the interrupts, it's all starting to click. The self-talks all coming together. You're doing the routines. You're seeing when you're feeling good. You're seeing when you're not. You're catching these things. You're changing stuff. You're recognizing this language in other people's now, right? So all of these things are what layering together bit by bit to make you into the 1% performer. So today's a goodie. Today's a goodie. Today is we're going to introduce a concept, and I'll pull my slides up in a second. This is something that has changed my life radically, massively. I use it in every area of my life. I use it every single day. And it's genuinely, I would say, it's probably the biggest thing in mental performance. If you understand it, that will make the radical difference. So I'm not going to shut up. I'm just going to pull my slides up. So today, we talk about a few things, but we talk about anchoring. Okay, so we moved into a neurolinguistic programming concept called anchoring. Now, remember, I'm pulling lots of different stuff and information from neuroscience. We're pulling it from behavioral psychology, neurolinguistic programming, all over the place, right? And just my brain. But week 4, anchoring, and the second part to it is intuition, but intuitive drive. As an entrepreneur, salesperson, and everything else, we really have to tune into our intuition. I'm going to give you a full lesson around that because that's truly the thing that makes the difference, including people like Richard Branson, for example, who made, I'm going to get the stats slightly wrong, but it's about 90% accuracy of his hirings inside of his companies. Not from resumes, not from anything, just from pure intuition. And he's always been 90% correct. So that's how powerful it can be when we understand intuition and we start layering anchors together, okay? So this is what we're going to cover. So we're going to obviously do our review and metrics to make sure everybody's been moving forwards. Then we're going to go to what is an anchor. Then we're going to go to what is anchoring you, okay? Then we're going to look at how to set your power anchor up, and then we're going to move into something I call the heart brain. This is deep neuroscience. It's the most radical thing that I do with clients, and they don't realize what I'm doing, but this is what we're doing, and you're going to find out all about it today. Then we're going to look at how to lead yourself using your intuition, and then we're going to install an anchor for you. Nice and simple today. The trances and installations are going to get deeper and deeper as we go through the weeks until one point, I'm sure, towards the end of this, we're going to be doing 30 to 40-minute deep meditations and guided meditations or trance work, whatever you want to call Okay, so let's jump in. So week 3 review and your metrics, everybody. So what did we cover? We covered using binaural beats. We were dealing with all of the 3 routines right now: morning, work to home, and evening. Okay. Then what else we were looking at? We were looking at the language in others and ourselves, so we get used to hearing this. And then what else were we were always interrupting and state changing? That's the layer I want. And we were playing always every morning and every day with your visualizing of the 12-month and also the 12-week. So how did you do? I don't know. You do. So be honest. This is your scoreboard, nobody else's. So let's take a look. So number 1, were you playing with your binaural beats? If you don't know how to use them correctly, that's okay. That's what we're here for. Message me and we'll put it into a beautiful system. I am going to show you stuff with the binaural beats and systems as we go over the weeks. Just got a lot of content and I don't want to give you all at the start. So your review, 0 to 1,000, rate your performance. Were you playing with them? Were they effective? Where were they effective? If they weren't effective, we use them in the wrong place, you're not understanding them, or maybe you don't have headphones. Then they're not going to work. So the next one, number 2, is how were your routines? Were your mornings good? Were your works at homes? Were your evenings? Did you forget them all? Or did you remember them all? If you remember them all, which one was the most effective? What needs working on? All things like that, okay? It's your numbers, you know. Number 3, language in others and self. So number 3, were you playing with this? Were you listening? Were you open? Were you hearing this inside your own head? The words, right? Remember, these words are connected to an emotion, and the emotions are connected to words. So if we don't take control, automatically these words are going to be out of control, and so are you. So the next one, interrupt and state changes. Rate it. You know by now. You know by now. This is the 4th week we're going to be playing with interrupts and state changes. And I'm going to keep those going for you because I really want it to become a normal thing. I just want it to become natural and normal before you pick the phone up, before you get out of bed, before you go into meetings, before you sit down and do a project or a sale. This is what we want. And then visualizing. Well, why do we visualize? Well, you know all this now. We're building it into your nervous system. We're building it into your brain. So what that means is you become more bulletproof. As you start to expand your business, you start to become who you really are as the 1% performer. Your nervous system and brain just become so used to being this version of you, getting those results, that guess what? Yeah, you just flow into it. Okay? So out of those ones, what can you increase by 1%? What can you do? What can you do to increase your binaural beats use by 1%? What can you do with your routines to increase them by 1%? What can you do with your language and observation of it by 1%? State changes, and what can you do visualizing by 1%? Now, we could go 20%, 100%, but all I'm asking for is just 1% movement, okay? And if you need to review that, guess what? You can press pause. So let's jump in. Topic today, what are we? Let's jump straight in to NLP anchoring, okay? Now, I'm going to go through this in a little bit more detail, and we've got questions at the end, but just simple. This is a simple definition, okay? So it's a trigger or a stimulus that invokes a specific response. What the heck does that mean? You're going to find out. So what the trigger or stimulus response, right? Let's call it a trigger for now. It could be negative or positive, okay? And it can be any of our representational systems, so our audio, visual, or olfactory, or gustatory, or kinesthetics, or smells and tastes, and everything else. It can be applied accidentally. It can be applied deliberately. And yeah, we build them layer by layer, like I'm building you into the ultimate you. We build anchors layer by layer, right? So I've got several ones which I'll teach you in a little bit, okay, because we're going to be choosing one today. And again, it could be helpful or not helpful. But when we start to understand about anchoring, it becomes such a massive, powerful tool. What we're going to discuss in the later weeks around anchoring is something called environmental anchoring that I teach, or external anchoring. And this becomes really important. What we're going to cover today, or we're going to do, is we're going to build physical touch point anchors, okay? So these are things that can be applied and lit off like I'm doing right now when we need them most. And we're going to cover that a little bit later. So that's the outline of an anchor, okay? So as I said before, we've got the visuals, kinesthetics, auditory, and smells and tastes. So what I'm going to do now is give you a little example, and I just want you to see what comes up in your head, okay? The first thing, what smells, what tastes, what images, what comes up in your head when I click on this next picture? Be honest, first thing, what comes up? Grandma's cooking. Or somebody, right? That instantly, that looks like my grandma. It looks like my nan. It really did. And she was a good cook too. So it takes me back to when I was a little kid, like 7 years old, and I can smell the kitchen, I can see it. And I can see it. She wasn't cooking cookies, but she was cooking, right? So that's an anchor. Just to give you an example, we all have those triggers or points that light our brain up and take us back to a specific memory. Now, I'm just explaining this because we're going to use this in a performance enhancing way by the end of today. But what about this one, the next one? A rave, right? Dance parties or whatever it is. It could be a rock concert, whatever it is. But for you, what comes up when you think of music? Is it a specific gig? Is it a night? Is it good? Maybe it's negative. Maybe it's not a good night that comes up, right? But what is it that comes up? Because you could play a piece of music, right? It might take you back right to that moment in time, you know, where you first heard that music, or it was embedded in your head, right? It could be a DJ, it could be a band, could be you at home. But whatever it is, right? It could be a smell, could be a taste, could be someone's voice, right? Could be a specific person. All of these things connected to music or raving or whatever you want to call it, that's an anchor, right? What about the one below it? Look at that image. There it is, the ocean's in front of you. You can see the sand, it's beautiful, you're all set up there. Does it remind you of a holiday or vacation? Right? Maybe the vacation was amazing. Maybe it's reminding you that you need to go on one. I don't know. But what comes up, okay? Is there a specific scene from that vacation or holiday that pops up? Is there a person that you spent it with? Is there the way you travel, the food, you get the idea, right? So all of these things start to become trigger points or anchors in our head, okay? And remember, visual, feelings, sounds, smells, and tastes. So all of these things create a representation in our brain, right? So this is where it stems from, okay? Now, I use it and teach it in a performance enhancing way, and a lot of people who teach this don't quite understand it, and they get it kind of wrong. I've spoke to, we're talking world experts around psychology and world experts around teaching performance, and they don't understand this stuff. And they teach this stuff, but they do not understand this stuff. They think the anchoring's taught like an external anchor. Like, I pick this pen up, let's have power to this pen. But we also have internals. I've just told you about internals. You could remember something from the past, or you could play a piece of music in your head. It'll take you right back to that memory, right? Or you think about someone, it takes you right back to that memory. So we can use these for performance enhancing internally and externally. It makes no difference. The only thing is it easier for people if we've got a physical thing we can grab. is going to make us feel a certain way. But let me explain what that means, because we're going to build this into your brain. So that becomes something for you. So let me explain. Pavlov's dog. So to put this into nice and simple logic, dog, tuning fork, food, okay? It's not actually a bell. A bell is actually an urban myth. It was a tuning fork. So dog, tuning fork, food. So what would happen is that they'd put the food down, they'd ring the tuning fork at the same time, and what would happen is the dog would salivate and eat food. You repeat that sequence enough times, what happens is you just have to ring the tuning fork to get the dog to salivate, and there is no food, okay? It might sound, well, what the heck does that mean? But that's how our brains condition ourselves. So let me explain a bit further. Yes, we can go into it, but I'll explain it quickly now. So, for example, why do you stop? Well, you should, but why do you stop at a traffic light that's on red at 4 o'clock in the morning? It's automatic. There's no cars around, you're good. But why do you stop? It's automatic. If I put my hand out, what do you want to do? Yeah, you want to shake it. Give you knuckles. What do you want to do? Give me knuckles. These are automatic, like society anchors that have been installed in you, right, by the way. So think about what else is going on in your head, in your life, that you're actually classically conditioned or you haven't anchored to, okay? So think about this. What is anchoring you already, everybody, okay? What people, places, and things light up pain or light up pleasure, okay? So we're just going to start to open your brain up to start to you becoming consciously aware of what's automatically playing or anchoring or triggering you, okay? So if I said the word negative, what is triggering you negatively? First thing that comes up, write it down. Could be the media, could be a person, could be whatever, but what's triggering you negatively? And what I mean by negatively is that you don't feel lit up. You don't feel energy. You don't feel happy. You don't feel driven, okay? That is what a negative thing is. It's like someone's putting a block in the way. So you got a second one? Put the second one down there. What's the second thing that is negatively or disempowering you? This could be money, right? You might see someone's bank account, or you might see your bank statement. You might think about accounts or bills. You might get negatively anchored. Is that a good thing? No, it's not. Because as a 1% performer, what we should always be doing is accepting where we are, understanding that's just where we are. It's not who we are. I'll say that again, right? It's just where you are. It's not who you are. Who you are is who we're building. Who you were is gone. Understand that, right? So you were, okay, in the past, that's led you up to looking at your bills or whatever it is and being a little bit freaked out, right? Why? Because there's crap what happened in the past. But the other side of it is, no, the new you responds to it a different way. They're empowered by it because they take responsibility for all their money, accounts. They don't stray away from it. No, they own it because that means then they know what's going on so they can build more income and business, okay? So, make sense? Good. Positively, what person, place, or thing lights you up positively? Meaning, you feel full of energy and happy and love when you see these people. Or person, or place, or thing. So, what lights you up? What lights you up? For me, what lights me up? Martial arts lights me up. It's such a profound anchor with me that if I don't feel empowered, I feel lazy or anything, because I've done it since such an early age and it was such an early part of my life, that I go back to that as a foundation of strength, you know? So what is it for you? Okay, so get those down so we keep going. But we have all of these things that can trigger you negatively or positively. Think about that. If I said fresh bread, you might go, I don't care about fresh bread. I'm keto, bro. Then it's okay. Fresh bread. Think about that, right? Is there a smell? Is there a memory? Is there a smell? Is there a taste? Is there a person, right? That feeling of Monday morning, right? Should that be a real happy experience Monday morning? Yeah. But is it for most people? No, it's not, right? They're starting to dread. So is that an anchor? Yeah, of course it is, right? Because why wouldn't that be Thursday or Wednesday or Saturday? No, it's Monday morning. A day that is made up from someone's imagination and taught to the world that that's a real day, that suddenly becomes stressful. Doesn't make sense, does it? Right? Same with a certain tone of voice. Have you got a certain tone of voice that appears in your head when you are, could be your mum's voice, right? Could be a parent's voice. Could be somebody's voice that even tells you off. It's the other side of it is it could be a positive voice. I think I mentioned this before, but this is like my my friend and MMA mentor back in New Zealand. I can still hear his voice in my head and I haven't seen him in 10 years. Doesn't matter. So think about how powerful just these words are, right? So imagine if you saw them. Imagine if you smelt them, tasted them. They become so powerful, negative and positive. So we've just got to make sure that we're taking control. Make sense? Good. So let's set up for the end install today. Let's set up a power anchor for you. Nice and simple, okay? So first thing we're going to do is you're going to remember a huge moment in your life. A huge moment in your life where you felt on fire. You felt so confident, so passionate, so happy, so in flow. You just got stuff done again and again and again. And it didn't matter what happened because you were so driven to achieve this goal. So maybe you want to write that down. Yeah, just spend 30 seconds just writing that down. A huge moment in your life where synchronized or whatever happened, but you were just already got a glimpse of what it's like to be a 1% performer. Just write that down. Beautiful. Okay, remember you can pause this. So a physical anchor. So let me explain. How it works is we understand states right now, right? And you understand alter ego. So you're good. You've been practicing this. So when you are in an alter ego or a peak version of you, a peak state, what does it mean? It means the circuit or the neurology or mind muscle is in a certain circuit, right? It's completing and it's making you think, feel, and act a certain way, right? Think about that, right? Professional athlete has a very different belief system, focus, breathing rate, micro muscles on their face, everything. It's very different to someone who's relaxing in a hammock, right? Very, very different. So what I want you to understand is that that's a state. So what we do is we connect physical things, okay, to that state. So when we're in those emotions, in that moment, like we do with an install, or even better, when you're actually in the moment, or second better, is going back to a memory to install these things, okay? Or you could be watching a movie and you feel awesome. So we start stacking, okay? It's called stacking the anchor, okay? So I'll explain my view. So I've had many different ones over the years, and remember, these are layered together hundreds of times over time, right? So first one, right, this just gets me going, okay? I haven't used some of these in a long time, actually. I have when I'm getting ready for something or presenting, or even before this. This is how it goes. That's how literally my anchor. So we get excited and then we link it together, okay? I have a power anchor, which is my confidence, drive, passion. Palm of the hand, cup of the hand. We just fire out. I feel rushes from my stomach. This has got to be like a 10-year-old, you know? When I was training a lot, this thumbs inside, that would be like my let's go and scrap. So we have all of these different ones, okay? Doesn't matter what it is, okay? But what you're trying to do is create something that isn't going to be easily fired off, okay? Because it works like a bank account. What we want to do with anchoring is we want to build it or put in before we take out. If we start taking out before we really built this thing, then they're not going to work as well, okay? So what we want to do, first of all, is choose an anchor. Maybe you've got a different one, right? Depends on what you're trying to do. This could be meditation, this could be your heart centered, this could be your power, this could be, which is mine, this is intelligence, my brain speeds up. Probably needs to speed up a bit more, but let's keep it going, right? So this is your anchoring. So I want you to choose one. What body part? Is there a sound? Is there, I don't know, you could add things into it. You know, you could have incense going, you could have music playing. We're going to do all that stuff. But for now, just choose that, okay? Good. If you need to have a little bit of time, press pause. Because this is what I want to get to next, okay? I want to get to something what I call the heart brain. So I'm going to slow it down a little now because I just flew through anchoring because I want to actually get to it. But I just want to cover it very quickly, right? So we understand all the different senses. We understand how easy it is to be triggered and anchored. We understand the science of where it comes from. We understand your negative and positive anchors that are triggering you. And what else have we done? We've chosen a memory of when you kicked ass, and we've chosen a physical location. Beautiful. So that's anchoring. So we move on now. The heart brain. Now, this is special. It's actually been made famous by a gentleman called Joe Dispenza. I've been teaching this for a long, long time before Joe came out publicly with it, but he was obviously, the collective consciousness, right? So this is what it comes from, my interpretation of it, right? So I often get clients to see things from separate points of view, and I ask them to speak from their heart and talk from their head. It's a big difference. Then I have them switch and speak from the head and come from the heart. It's really like two different people, okay? Because what I've told you before is that we have our fight or flight response, or the amygdala, okay, in our brainstem, the back of our head. And we're going to get into fight or flight responses maybe next week, maybe the week after. And so what happens is when we're in our head or our reptilian system or the brainstem or the oldest part of us, it means we're in something called the limbic system, okay? So what that means is we're dealing with the oldest survival mechanisms of us, okay? Well, that means we can be anxious. It means we're looking to be, looking for danger all the time. So what happens is these things can be locked together or anchored to the future, to the past, to a memory, to money, to getting things done, right? All of this starts to create like a world. And that can become a massive problem when they need to drop into flow, when they need to really perform at any time, anywhere. Because if the pressure's coming and you're stuck in your amygdala or your fight or flight response, you're going to be very reactive. You're not going to make confident decisions. You're not going to make decisions that are going to empower you. What you're going to do is make decisions out of scarcity or lack, okay? So that's your head. The opposite way is coming from what we call your heart brain, okay? And think about this when we're in there, okay? And we'll teach you the science about it in a second more. But when you're in your heart, think about this, right? When you're talking to someone you really love, are you in your head? No, you're in your heart, okay? And so that means the communication's differently. Even the tonality, the pace, the pitch, the timbre of your voice is different, right? The words that come out your head, how you communicate, even how your physiology and your body is, even how you respond to the person, even if they were angry, you'd be responding very differently. You're very intuitive. Your decision-making process is much cleaner and you're present. That's what the heart brain does. And I'll explain more about that in a moment, but that's how I've got like high-level executives to really make decisions fast, or traders in finance to be able to, instead of, I don't know what to do, no, they go into flow. It's a very different thing. And we want to be able to live here. Does that mean we want to switch off the amygdala or the fight or flight response? No, we need it. We definitely need it. You standing on the edge of a cliff, if you didn't have a fight or flight response, you might just walk off, because why wouldn't you, right? So we want to make sure that we're aware of when the alarm system goes off, but we want to override it with a heart brain. Or you don't like the word heart brain, sounds a bit cheesy, then call it your chest brain. I don't care, whatever makes you happy. So the mind, what that does, or the amygdala, or the brain, it offers opinions, it offers fears, and it offers shoulds or shouldn'ts. Does that make sense? So here, the heart, we speak genuine, authentically, and present. The mind, or the brain, offers opinions, fears, and shoulds and shouldn'ts. And that can create resistance. So in the heart, understand this, okay? The human heart, well, besides its normal function, it's comprised of about 40,000 neurons that actually feel, remember, and learn. Think about that. Just for a second. Just think about that for a second, right? 40,000 neurons. Okay, crew, there we go. The end of episode 415. Obviously, I just started to scratch the surface there, but I know there was quite a bit of information, and if you've not heard the depth of this before, then this is just one of the tiny tactics that I actually teach and then implement, because this is all the why, but it's not the how, right? It's not how we use this and integrate this into our daily performance systems, right? That's what people work with me for. So I hope really that helped and unlocked a few things, and you got some good perspective changes. But that's just a tiny little 30-minute clip from a 12-week system, and each week's hours long. So I just wanted to give you a little insight of what I get up to, because as I say, each week I tend to break down other people's clips, but I just wanted to give you a little view of into my personal world. I love this stuff. So again, make sure you're heading over to andymurphy.online, or you go over to the show description. All the links are there too. Head over to andymurphy.online and do what, you might ask, Andy? Well, I want you to do a few things. First one, go grab yourself the Mind Control Handbook. It's free. Go and grab it right now. It's a $27 value, but I'm giving it to you for free because I love you. Number two, make sure if you want to take your whole game to another level, just again, go into, imagine 30, 40, 50 hours of this. It's a university. You're going to get certifications in there. It's all built around NLP, neuroscience, behavioral psychology, performance and persuasion, and my 21 years of experience working with thousands and thousands of world-class clients. It's there for you. Go and check it out. What else? Again, if you are a high performer, whether you are running a massive business, $300-400 million business, all the way down to you're a few hundred grand, but you are used to being at the highest level of your game, right? The highest level of your game. For whatever reason, things are transitioning, you're transitioning careers, or you've just felt that you have dipped right now and want to fire yourself back up. Well, that's what I do for people. I can do it really, really fast, and we've got a few different options. You can work with me for a day, 2 days, you can work with me for 90 days or even 12 months, and we go and absolutely change. And I reboot and expand you into a whole new level. That's what I've done for thousands and thousands of people. You can definitely check my testimonials out on the andymurphy.online, and you'll probably be very, very surprised. Some of the best people in the world, from NBC stars to Saudi Arabian royalty to people running $300-400 million businesses, world champions, and everyone else in between. So I want to share this stuff with you. So head over there, and speaking of heading over there, you have an amazing week. Much, much love. Keep kicking ass. And I know I'll communicate and talk with you very, very soon. Until then, one more thing. Why don't you smile for me?
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy. We'll catch you next time.